Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to yet another edition of Take 3 with me, Anand Narsimhan, Rahul Shivshankar, and Zaka Jacob. And viewers, this time around, we'll talk politics, both geo and national politics. That's what we'll focus on. First up is the Bihar elections. It's a big humdinger that's setting itself up to be perhaps a very, very keen contest on ground. Diwali gayi, Chhat aaya, aap sabko badhaiyan. But let's start with Zaka Jacob. And what are you looking at? What are you expecting at Bihar between the Mahagathbandhan and the NDA, which looks like a more cohesive unit? And more importantly, let's start with this Mukesh Sahni thing as Deputy Chief Minister, superseding the likes of the Congress and the left.
Yeah, look, see, clearly in the run-up to this announcement of Chief Ministerial face and Deputy Chief Ministerial face and so on, it seemed like the NDA was the one that had got its act together. They have an alliance, the seats were decided, BJP is contesting 101, JDU contesting 101. They had sorted it out. I mean, there were some minor irritants. Some parties felt like Chirag was given a little more than what he deserved. I think they seemed like a much more well-oiled machine. The Gathbandhan on the other side, did not even have a formal alliance. I mean, they were not able to come to an understanding as to, okay, these are the seats that RJD is fighting, these are the seats that Congress is fighting, and these are what the left parties are fighting. So, as a result of which, there are now a number of constituencies, I think about a dozen or so, where there are friendly fights, either between RJD and Congress or between, Congress and CPML. But I think the press conference where this announcement happened that Tejashwi will be the face and Mukesh Sahni will be the deputy chief ministerial face does a couple of things. One, I think it very clearly draws this sort of hierarchy in that Gathbandhan. It's very, very clear that this is the RJD's Gathbandhan. The Congress is a second, maybe even a third player. So clearly, at the venue where the announcement was made, it was just Tejashwi's posters. There was no posters of Rahul Gandhi or Mr. Sahni or anybody else. So I think this election is being fought on the face of Tejashwi Yadav. Now, whether or not that will pay off, we don't know. We'll know on the 14th of November. The second thing that it did, which I thought was interesting, was, I think he said it in the press conference as well, in our side, it's very clear. Chehra kaun hai, kaun mukhyamantri banega, it's very clear. Why is the BJP not saying the same thing? Now, to be fair, the BJP has been saying that, look, we are fighting under Nitish's name. Nitish is our face. And post the election, obviously the Vidhayak Dal of each of these parties will sit and they will decide who the leader is, which is the procedure. The tricky part here is, I think Tejashwi is trying to put the NDA on a spot by saying, but this is exactly what you said in Maharashtra as well, right? Eknath Shinde was your incumbent chief minister, unke chehre pe lad rahe hain. And then what happened? The whole thing just turned turtle, right? So he's trying to put the NDA in a bit of a sticky situation. And the only way that can be resolved is, I think, personally, if someone really high up in the BJP, either the Prime Minister, Amit Shah, whoever it is, says publicly that even after the election, if the NDA wins, Mr. Nitish Kumar will be the Chief Minister. They have to say it in as many words. Otherwise, I think the opposition will continue to make this an issue.
एक तरफ का खेला है कि 50-50?
No, I don't actually believe this to be the case. I feel that the MGB has a problem. Actually, the projection of Tejashwi might actually be a problem. And to balance that, they've projected Saini Saab as the Deputy CM. Why? Because first things first, the MGB is really a Muslim Yadav alliance. Now, specifically after you project somebody. The challenge always for the MGB is to grow beyond its two-caste base. Therefore, the Saini logic of projecting him as Deputy Chief Minister in the hope that some of the Nishads and
he's a Mallah,
others,
Mallah ka beta.
Exactly. So that's a 2.5-3% caste block. And in close marginal fights, as the data shows, they can actually make a difference. But fundamentally, it is to tell people that, look, you don't have to fear us. That the EBCs don't have to fear the Yadavs. So here it is, we're giving Saini an equal measure of respect, so to speak, by making him Deputy Chief Minister. The Congress is completely out of this equation. It's a 5% party in any case in Bihar, but it was hoping there'd be more spoils that would come its way, and therefore it has put up a few candidates. But what this also does, and Anand, this is something that we should never forget, it allows the opposition, which is the NDA, to focus on one very salient aspect, that you have a chief ministerial face who's actually tainted and is the epitome of Jungle Raj politics, which has benighted Bihar for 30 years. And I was just looking at some data to see how many cases are actually slapped against the Lalu family. It's not just Lalu who's been convicted, as you know, in 5 cases. But here's a whole list of other cases that are against Tejashwi. So there is the IRTC hotel scam. It's co-accused with Lalu and Rabdi. Charge sheet filed in 2018. Then there's a land for job scam in which he's out on bail in October 2024. His mother, Rabdi Devi, co-accused in IRCTC's hotel scam. His sister, Misa Bharti, 2017 ED charge sheet for money laundering via shell firms, also named in the land for jobs charge sheet. All of these charges have been held up by the courts, and they've said there's enough material evidence to suggest that there was wrongdoing, misdemeanors. These are the court's words, not mine, in all these particular aspects. So what is the alternative? The alternative on the MGB side, and it's also rather instructive, perhaps hypocritical, that the 2 words that were used by Tejashwi said, "Hum double engine ki sarkar." One engine runs on corruption, the other engine runs on criminality. We will root them out of Bihar. And we are fighting for making Bihar, not for the chief minister's post, not for the deputy. These are his words. Now, when Tejashwi says that, 5 people will look at him and say, what moral authority do you have to make these charges? Look at the corruption cases. He says this is all bona fide. These are not bona fide cases. I am being punished. This, that, the other. But I think fundamentally it just narrow focuses the campaign on him.
Yeah,
is he an asset?
Here is the thing.
Or is he a liability?
Here is the thing.
People will decide now.
If we try to intellectualize Bihar too much, we may just catch ourselves in a bind or in a twist.
No, but
and now
this
here's
is not
my
about that, because there is a problem about Jungle Raj.
No, here's my
Let me tell you.
Here's my
the
humble,
MY vote.
अब मैंने आपको सुना, आप मेरी बात तो सुनो.
The women, the Mahila and youth vote, they have a problem.
Correct. See, this is what he did. Now, Muslim Yadav is an issue there on ground. Now, if you look at the 143 tickets that the RJD is contesting in, 51 tickets have been given to the Yadavs, 19 have been given to Muslim candidates. But he's also balanced it with a certain amount of Savarn tickets. And now they've got this Mukesh Saini. But one thing on ground is who is able to pull the kind of crowds that is being seen. So there is a clear Yadav vote and a clear Muslim support which is being seen at the rallies of Tejashwi. The last time around in 2020, if you remember, the first phase was where the BJP left it hazy about Nitish, and they allowed Chirag Paswan was the attack dog and who was going after Nitish. What happened? Their biggest losses, they were literally cut to size in phase 1. It is because perhaps RJD thought they have it in the bag and they lost steam, and the BJP pulled up, and PM went there and said it is only Nitish Babu or kisi ko nahi hai. That 2 and 3 they really picked up and they came. This time they don't have the luxury of 2 more phases. It's only 2 phases. Now, what has Nitish come out and said? Nitish has been shown as in charge. He was sitting at the center, head of the entire grouping. Amit Shah was on the side, not at the center, clearly being projected visually as the leader. He has come out and said कि देखिए भाई हम कहीं नहीं जा रहे हैं, हमारा वोट एनडीए को है, सब वोट हमारे को बैक कर रहा है, सब हमारे से सब कुछ ठीक हो गया. That's what he has said. But on ground, I think what will cut is what is it that the Bihari sees as different. I just feel if the Bihari thinks that Tejashwi's sarkari naukri in every family is a dream come true or is a possibility, then the NDA has a problem.
Remember Nitish has actually not given as many Yadav's tickets. He has also not given as many Muslims tickets as last time.
Because those who will, there is a huge grouping that doesn't vote for the Yadavs.
Why? Because they've realized that there is no point investing in them. They are only going to vote for MGB.
I have a couple of points on Tejashwi. Number one, I think it was the CSDS survey, or one of these surveys said that this particular electorate in Bihar, I think 45% of them are either first or second time C voter.
Yeah.
First or second time. So they're basically between the age group of 18 to 30.
And they've not seen a government before Nitish.
Yeah. So my thing is, this whole Jungle Raj thing, again, this is a challenge for Tejashwi, no doubt about it. He has to adequately draw a distinction between what he is projecting himself as and what his vision and what his ideas are, and the 15 years that was under his father and then his mother.
Right.
So he's got the advantage that a large chunk of the electorate and the youth vote that he is craving for, and that he says, I'm the young leader, I mean, Nitish Chacha thak gaye and all that. Those voters have no idea of what it was in 1990. They're born much after that. So there is that part. The second part, I think, from what I remember of the 2020 election, was the big thing that worked for him, and he really came close. I mean, the laggard in the alliance was actually the Congress. Right? What worked for him at that time was this promise of 10 lakh jobs. Now, again, back then everybody was saying this is nonsense. I mean, how can you create 10 lakh jobs? The overall number of government employees in Bihar at that time was less than the 10 lakh he was promising. But you know what? The voters don't care about all this math and economics. They just look at a promise and say, okay, let me give it a shot.
But here's what happened, Zaka. The moment he came into power, he couldn't
do it.
He couldn't deliver.
That's absolutely fine.
It is the same. It is the same grouping. It's the same group of voters who saw he couldn't deliver, and they saw the immediate deterioration in law and order situation.
Exactly.
Plus the Yadav coming out to flex muscle.
But one sec. The thing is, this whole thing that won BJP Maharashtra, Ladki Behan. Now, 6 months down the line, there are all kinds of problems, right? Yeah. Some 20,000 men have been given under Ladki Behan. 2-3 months they were not able to pay because the finances were not adding up. So, look, I think the Indian voter that way knows. Politicians make promises.
There's a difference between not just that. There is a difference. Sorry, I'm just saying there's a difference between a dole that has got to be given plus a job that's got to be given.
So he's promising government jobs.
No. Point is, he promised and he could deliver earlier. And this time, what he's trying to tell the people of Bihar is that he's going to render Bihar bankrupt 2.5 times over. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah, but how many voters are thinking in those lines? I don't think voters are thinking in those lines at all.
On ground, when we see the average person on ground wants a better life, has always wanted a better life. But with social media awareness and what they're seeing all across the country, plus they're seeing his own constituency. He was not able to build a bridge across the river to his own constituency when for the last 11 to 12 years, he could not demand it as despite being an MLA and winning there twice. So they could see the fact that all of this has happened under a different leadership and not under him. So
let's not forget that they want to bet of the NDA programs, welfare programs, call them what you want to, have actually shown some results on the ground. So there were these compensations that were paid to young women who are going to get married, this, that, the other. They have actually been paid, and many people have actually benefited. So in their time in office, Nitish has been able to guarantee, or at least walk the talk on some of the guarantees that he's sort of offered. And I think that time and again, this conversation veers around to what someone is giving and what the other person is giving, but usually the credibility of the guarantor also is now something that the voter is looking at. And he's looking also at other states. You're right about Maharashtra, where there have been problems, but eventually it was given. Look at AAP. They were floundering. Look at the Congress in Karnataka floundering. Telangana floundering to the point of actually Punjab, caste surveys. All of these are hanging fire. So fundamentally, these people are looking at these things very carefully also.
Here's the thing, Rahul. The NDA has not been able to convince the voter on ground who after Nitish Kumar and what happens to the JDU. Neither has Nitish Kumar been able to convince them. The thing is, Nitish Kumar is going out looking lively, looking positive, saying that, listen, all my support is to the NDA. NDA is totally supporting me. The JDU candidates have not, there is no dispute. Seats are equal. Perceptionally, they are the equal. All respects been given. So, the non-Yadav, non-Muslim grouping has no reason to look at the NDA and say, oh, justice is not being done to one particular grouping. Perhaps between the Paswan and the Hum Manjhis, there may be something that the Hum party has not got enough. But Chirag Paswan, this is do or die for him. If he is able to get a more than 80-90% strike rate, he becomes a strong candidate for Deputy Chief Minister. There is a liking within the top leadership in the BJP also for him. So that may work for him, we don't know. But if on ground, the JDU is not able to convince that the JDU will continue to exist after Nitish Kumar, and even if it is not, whether or not Nitish Kumar is the big question.
Frankly, the onus on that is actually not so much on the JDU, it's on the BJP. The BJP has to convince voters that, look, after Nitish, we will preserve his party.
The one thing that we do also forget is how the BJP itself has built around its caste coalitions. In Haryana, it went around the dominant caste, the Jat caste, and built. So the EBCs or the Mahapichras, etc., have voted for the BJP. In Uttar Pradesh, also the same thing.
Yeah, but that's only the BJP, right?
No, so the BJP can say that, look, I understand. The BJP will say, will say that, look, I don't think it's such a factor. It's not as if Nitish's voters are going to say that, oh, if Nitish is not there in a post scenario, we're done for. No one's going to help us or work for us. I think the BJP has been very, very good at providing that support.
This is
Quite
Bihar.
the
All those
opposite.
people
look
beyond.
at
I
20
think it's
years,
quite the
20 years,
opposite.
20
Yeah.
years, whichever way Nitish swung,
Yeah.
they never faulted him. They called him Palturam. Every media called him Palturam. Opposition called him Palturam. Did his voter go away?
No.
Yes,
No, I'm not saying
there
the
is.
voter
There has
will
been.
go away.
There has been.
I'm
there was a
only
period-
saying that, look, at the end of the day, the voter is not going to think of the BJP as someone antagonistic to its interests. That it can't say about. That it
This
can't
time
say about
around-
the RJD.
See, this time around, they
That's
have,
what I'm saying.
Correct. This time around, what they have done is that BJP has done one thing right. That they have not tried to diffuse the image of Nitish Kumar. Tejashwi, as a young leader, does not have a new blueprint. He's not doing anything different from his father, Lalu.
Yeah.
He's coming back and promising government jobs at a time when the world has moved on and realized that government should not be in business. You know, government is
But
not.
think
It's
of-
not
think of
government.
it-
Sarkari Naukri is not going to be
think-
the be all and all. What are you promising for Bihar as a vision? You don't have a vision which says
But
that
think
it's
of
going
it-
to bring back the Bihari and keep the
But
Bihari in
think
Bihar.
of it this way, right? I mean, you grew up there. A Sarkari Naukri, even today in 2025, is a huge thing in that state.
That's because
It's-
there is no
it's-
other.
but-
That is because
Exactly.
there is no other.
I'm not-
So
I'm not
saying
denying that,
I
but-
will
So that
create-
is the problem.
But
See,
the
that's
issue
what I'm
is,
saying.
it is a big promise to make.
That's where I feel.
And think of it from the point of view of, let's say you're in the 18 to 30-year-old bracket, right? You're a graduate or you're a postgraduate, and this is a highly educated state. I mean, there's a premium on
Yeah.
education, and you're unemployed. And here comes along this Johnny who says, I'm going to give you a government job. I don't necessarily have to buy him 100%. I don't necessarily have to believe everything that he
Yeah.
says. But at least I'm thinking, why not?
No, I understand,
You know?
Chaka, but what I'm trying to say is Tejashwi has the opportunity to not just come out and promise Sarkari Naukri, but Naukri in every house, right? And say opportunity for every Bihari. That's a different blueprint. I'll tell you what, if you look at all the states in our country, and we'll move on after this, Bihar is the one state which has abundance of everything.
Yeah.
It has abundance of intelligent minds. It has abundance of labor. It has abundance of fertile alluvial soil. It has abundance of rain. It has abundance of minerals. It has abundance of everything. The only thing lacking there is industry and entrepreneurship. Whereas Biharis are going abroad, outside Bihar and becoming great entrepreneurs and great business people. Why aren't they doing it in their own state? And what I'm saying is leaders like Chirag Paswan, Tejashwi Yadav and others, the younger generation and the next generation of leaders are the ones who are supposed to have a different blueprint for Bihar. Whether they win or lose is a different point. But real politics has to account for this. And somewhere that's lacking, and that's one disappointing aspect.